What's up, folks? Nate here, Tool Dyno Works. We're back on the dyno today with our 2025 Triumph Street 765 RS, and we're doing some more exhaust-specific testing and tuning today. Now, today, we're going to be talking about this full Spark Konix exhaust system that we have here now installed on our bike. Now, as you can kind of see here, if I can go ahead and get my camera to focus, this exhaust system does have crossover pipes between the head pipes, which we've now covered in multiple videos. This is exactly what we want to see on these full systems, so we maintain our mid-range performance while maximizing our top-end gains. And it also has a nice tapered and then very large diameter mid-pipe leading up to the muffler, which we're now seeing provides the most top-end performance. So as expected, this system is fantastic when it comes to putting down power and torque to the tire. But I do have a bit of a gripe with the fitment of the system in just one specific area that's worth mentioning. Their header comes with these brackets to go ahead and space the radiator out just a little bit further forward so it can clear, because as you can see over there, there's actually almost some contact between the horn bracket and the number one cylinder head pipe. And if we flip over here to the other side of the bike, you can definitely see that it is actually still touching on the bracket, which is really just part of the radiator, for the horn on that number one head pipe. And that will eventually pose a problem. The vibration of that head pipe rubbing up against that bracket will eventually cause that head pipe to fail. So I'm not super stoked about that, even though we are using the bracket they provided, which per their website is supposed to allow fitment for all of the 18 to 25 765 models. But we're probably gonna have to grind away our bracket there on the radiator or something to create enough space to be able to allow this to stay on the bike long term, because I'm just not interested in cracking that head pipe. But besides that one gripe that I have with the fitment, this system is fantastic. Let's dive into how it performs on our dyno now that we've got our fuel mapping properly dialed in for the airflow characteristics of this specific pipe, and you'll see what I'm talking about. To the tire on pump gas with our custom mapping in place to match that new Spark Konix exhaust system, the bike now makes almost 129 horsepower and 59 pound-feet of torque. So that means we're nearing 130 wheel horsepower on this bike, which is really impressive because the intake is 100% bone stock still under that fuel tank. We haven't touched velocity stacks, air filter, any of that stuff yet. All we've done is install the Spark exhaust and get the bike tuned with our custom ECU mapping. Now, we were getting close to that output with the Aero exhaust system we showed you guys last time, but we weren't quite there. And there are a couple spots through the rev range where the Aero does still actually outperform the Spark system. So let's take a look at the graphs overlaid over on top of one another so you can see where those differences are, if you really care about that, and if you're really just like us, looking for the most power that you can possibly get out of these bikes, because at the moment, you want to go with the Spark. So here's what I'm talking about, folks. The red line there is the Aero exhaust system on our bike with the custom ECU mapping in place to match, and the green is the Spark with our custom ECU mapping in place to match. You can see the red line, so the Aero does slightly outperform around 6,000 RPM and 8,500 RPM compared to the Spark system. But you're talking about a couple ponies there and a couple ponies there, whereas the Spark system actually flows about one pony there, right around 7,500 RPM, and about one pony better there at 11,000 RPM, and then that just continues all the way to the very top end of the rev range, where we're making a little over 1 horsepower more just before 12,000 RPM. So for the moment, in my completely unbiased and professional opinion, the Spark is definitely the winner, because where those losses are compared to the Aero system, I just don't really care about. We're going to be riding this bike on the track the majority of the time. 1 or 2 horsepower losses down in a portion of the rev range we're never going to use is irrelevant when I'm looking for the most power at the top of the RPM range, where we're going to be spending the majority of the time riding this bike on track. Now, it is worth noting that, as I alluded to in prior videos, the fuel mapping differences, even for those small variances in output from one system to another, are pretty darn significant. There's portions of the fuel mapping, really where you see the difference between the Aero and the Spark system there that I just showed you, where we're talking about like 7 or 8% differences in fuel volume that are necessary to hit the same target AFR. So once again, it's really important when you're getting these bikes tuned to make sure that you talk to a tuner like us that has mapping built for your specific intake and exhaust system. Otherwise, things will be not very optimal. Now, this is not the only exhaust system that I was hoping to test today from Spark. We actually ordered both the Konix full system and the Griddo slip-on, so we can still run the Spark header, but with the different slip-on because it's got a big loop in it for the Griddo design, which will obviously require separate fuel mapping. However, UPS kind of fucked us, and only the Konix system decided to show up, and they've now proceeded to go ahead and tell us that they've lost the Griddo slip-on which is not great because that was the last one available from the distributor here in North America. So I'm going to go ahead and keep my fingers crossed that the distributor, after they now are going to file a claim with UPS, are able to somehow get them to magically find that package, because I also had our DNA air filter in that box as well. But we'll see. We don't use UPS here at Two Wheel Dyno Works for any domestic shipments whatsoever, because we ran into problems like this over and over again throughout prior years, so we fired them a long time ago. But maybe the distributor will have better luck with them than I have. If they do, then great. If not, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get another one of those Spark Grid-O systems until sometime in September because, well, Italy takes off the majority of August for their late summer break. So even if I wanted to order a system from overseas right now for one of these bikes, I can't. But honestly, that's okay, because we still have more exhaust systems to install and test, and we'll be showing you guys those and the performance that they provide in coming videos here next week and the following week as they decide to show up. And in the meantime, if you're looking to get your new 765 RS or Moto 2's ECU flashed for your specific intake and exhaust system, look no further than twowheeldynoworks.com. Our mail and ECU flashing service for these bikes is on sale on our website for $349.99. And if you have any questions whatsoever about intake systems, exhaust systems, tuning for these bikes, whatever it is, please do not hesitate to email us at support@twowheeldynoworks.com. I personally answer any and all tech support questions every single day at the shop here that we're open, and we are truly always happy to help.